Hey everyone, this is Brent. November of last year, I received the gift of tongues from the Father in a really crazy way, and I want to share it with you guys. So, I had been praying for the gift of tongues for only about a year, and I first started to get a desire for it back at LCI in 2020, August of 2020, with the baptism of the Holy Spirit night. And then it kind of nothing big happened, so I just kind of almost forgot about it until I started watching this YouTuber that I watch, and he had this really cool testimony about it. And this is like probably mid 2022, and I started like praying about it, just Father, give it to me, and no, early 2022. So then I had two different encounters where people prayed for me to receive the gift of tongues, and it did not work. It was like, one of them, I just tried to open my mouth and just kind of make something happen, and it wasn't happening. So I honestly felt kind of defeated, and like I wouldn't get the gift of tongues. And so I'm in Indiana at a Friday night fellowship meeting, prayer gathering thing, and this Hispanic gentleman that I'd met a few times before, that we really got along, and I told him how I wanted the gift of tongues, and so he had gotten the gift, and he was big into healing and stuff. So he just, and when he started, he was going to pray for me, and maybe I subconsciously thought like this is going to be like the other times where it feels just so pressured and stuff, and he just really quietly prayed for me just very shortly, and this was probably about 9 o'clock-ish or something like that, and so we finished, just really quick prayer, nothing huge, nothing extravagant, right? And so we got finished with the meeting, and so I went upstairs to my room, and I just kind of got this desire to spend time with the Father. So I got down on my knees, and just started praying, and all of a sudden I just started speaking in tongues, and I'm like, oh, this is crazy, it's happening, and so I'm going on for like 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'm like, okay, like, I'm gonna get up now, and I get up and I try to speak English. I like try to say something, and it's only tongues, and I'm like, okay. I was like, good joke, right? Like, okay, funny one, right? And then I realized that I can only speak tongues. I can't even speak English. I'm like, okay, this is crazy. So I think I pray a little bit longer, and then I go to bed, and I'm like, by the morning, it'll be gone. Lo and behold, I wake up in the morning, and I can only speak in tongues. And it sounds crazy, but I could literally only speak in tongues. So I'm like, man, I have to go to like a gathering today. Like this one, I'm going to a Shabbat gathering, and I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm not going to say anything all day. Like, this is going to be really embarrassing and awkward. So I go downstairs to the kitchen, I'm going to grab some food to bring there, and my mom looks at me, I look at my mom, I don't say anything, she says something, I don't respond back, so I grab a pen and I write, like, prayed for the gift of tongues last night, I can only speak tongues, can't speak English. And she was like, oh, wonderful, like typical mom, and I'm like, okay, so I end up going to meet this guy. He's going to take me there to the gathering, to the lunch and Bible study, and so he looks at me and I look at him, and I just kind of stared at him for a while, don't say anything, he talks to me, I don't talk back, and I write something on my phone, hey, I got the gift of tongues last night, I can't speak any English, and he's like, oh, okay. And so, very interesting car ride there, he had a lot to talk about, and then I get to the Bible study thing, and I'm just telling and people were like, what's going on? So I tell one person, they're like, oh, okay. So it was a very quiet day, if you can imagine that. I mean, it taught me, hey, there's a lot to learn from people when you listen, right, and when you don't talk. So it's the afternoon, probably about 3 or 4 o'clock. I'm on my way home. I'm on the freeway. I make a wrong turn, so I go down this freeway. It has no exit, so I'm down like 5 miles down. I go under an underpass, and I just say something, and all of a sudden, boom, I can speak English. And I was like, oh my goodness, that was crazy. I'm like, I almost miss it. And so I went about 17, 18 hours with the Father giving this gift in such a strong measure that I could not speak anything else other than it. And I know it sounds absolutely ridiculous. I've never encountered anything like that before. Maybe other people have encountered something like that. But it's really amazing because I wanted the gift and the Father gave it to me. And it's like, what dad doesn't love to give his kids good gifts, right? It's like, hey, if you want this gift, pray to the Father for it. He's diligent to give it. Don't force it. Trust him. The word says that what father will give his son a stone when he asks him for bread, or will give him a snake when he asks him for a fish? So The Father loves to give good gifts. And it's like, how much more does our Father in heaven love to give good gifts to those who ask him? And it talks about the Holy Spirit. So, guys, these are the days where we want to manifest these giftings, not in our own strength, not for our own glory, but for the purpose of advancing the kingdom, for the purpose of showing people that, hey, a kingdom has arrived, a kingdom is coming, and it can set you free and you can get to know the King. So I say this because I want to encourage everyone to just continue to dig into the Father, dig into his ways and his word, and yearn for the spiritual giftings. As Paul said, and I wish that you all would have these giftings, right? And so yeah, and yeah, just very, very cool. So the Father's good. He loves to give good gifts.